Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Horizon. Today, we are going to talk about something almost everyone experiences: overthinking. Maybe you know this feeling very well. Your body is tired. Your work is finished. The room is quiet. But your mind keeps talking. You remember something you said yesterday. You imagine something that may happen tomorrow. You worry about problems that do not even exist yet. One small thought becomes another, then another, until your mind feels full of noise. Many people believe that thinking more means making better decisions. Sometimes that is true. But overthinking is different. It is not solving problems. It is repeating the same problem again and again without finding a new answer. It feels like walking in circles, hoping to discover a different path, but ending up exactly where you started. Imagine carrying a backpack every single day. At first, it feels light. You hardly notice it. Then someone quietly places one small stone inside, and later another, and another. Each stone feels unimportant on its own. But after many days, the backpack becomes heavy. Every step requires more effort. Overthinking works in exactly the same way. One unnecessary thought seems harmless, but hundreds of unnecessary thoughts slowly become a burden you never meant to carry. The good news is, your mind was never designed to carry endless worry. It was designed to observe, to learn, to make decisions, and then to move forward. Nature reminds us of this every day. Clouds travel across the sky without stopping. Waves reach the shore, then quietly return to the sea. The wind moves through the trees, then disappears into silence. Everything in nature keeps moving. Only people often hold on to thoughts long after the moment has passed. Perhaps someone criticized you years ago, and you still remember every word. Perhaps you made a small mistake that nobody else even remembers, yet you continue replaying it inside your mind. Maybe you often ask yourself, what if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? What if people judge me little by little? These questions begin to control your attention. Even though most of them never become reality, think about a cup of tea sitting on a table. When the water is completely still, you can clearly see your reflection. But if the water never stops moving, everything becomes blurred. Our minds are very similar. When our thoughts never settle, we lose clarity. Small decisions suddenly feel difficult. Simple problems begin to look enormous. Even beautiful moments become harder to enjoy because our attention is somewhere else. Have you ever walked outside on a beautiful morning, felt the fresh air, heard the birds singing, yet your mind was trapped inside yesterday's conversation or tomorrow's responsibilities? Your body was standing in the present, but your thoughts were living somewhere else. This happens to millions of people every single day. They miss today's sunshine because they worry about tomorrow's rain. They miss today's smile because they are still thinking about yesterday's disappointment. The greatest cost of overthinking is not simply stress. It is losing the present moment, the only moment where life truly exists. Yesterday cannot be changed. Tomorrow has not arrived. Only this moment belongs to you. Only this breath, this quiet second, this peaceful pause is real. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. You do not need every answer before taking the first step. Sometimes the kindest gift you can give yourself is to stop chasing every thought that appears. Simply notice it. Allow it to pass. And gently return your attention to the present, like a cloud floating across the sky, like a leaf drifting down a calm river. Thoughts come, thoughts go, but you remain. In today's episode, we will discover why our minds overthink, why it quietly steals our happiness, and how simple daily habits can help us enjoy the present moment again. So, take a slow breath. Find a comfortable place. Relax your mind. And let's begin this journey together. Our minds are incredible. They help us learn new skills, remember happy memories, solve difficult problems, and imagine a better future. But the same mind that helps us grow can also become our biggest source of stress when we allow it to wander without direction. The human brain naturally searches for danger because, for thousands of years, survival depended on noticing problems before they happened. Long ago, worrying about the weather, wild animals, or finding food helped people stay alive. Today, our lives are much safer, yet our brains still use the same ancient system. Instead of worrying about wild animals, we worry about emails, social media, our careers, relationships, or what someone might think of us. The danger has changed, but the habit of worrying remains. This is why overthinking feels so natural. Your brain believes it is protecting you. It whispers, "Think a little more. Maybe you'll avoid making a mistake." Then it says, "What if something goes wrong before long?" Your mind creates hundreds of possible futures, most of which will never happen, instead of preparing you for life. These thoughts slowly steal your energy. They keep your body awake at night, make simple choices feel difficult, and fill peaceful moments with unnecessary noise. Imagine sitting beside a beautiful lake early in the morning. The air is cool. The birds are singing, and the water is perfectly calm. Suddenly, someone throws a small stone into the lake. Ripples spread across the surface. Then another stone, and another, until the water never becomes still again. Overthinking works in the same way. Every unnecessary thought creates another ripple. The more thoughts we throw into our minds, the harder it becomes to see clearly. Many people wait for life to become perfect before allowing themselves to relax. They tell themselves, "I'll stop worrying after I get a better job. I'll be happy after I earn more money. I'll feel peaceful when everything is under control." But life rarely works that way. As soon as one problem disappears, another one usually appears. If peace depends on a perfect future, peace may never arrive. The truth is, peace is not something we discover at the end of life. It is something we practice every day. Even while life remains imperfect, think about breathing for a moment. You do not need to force every breath. It comes naturally, one after another. The present moment is very similar. It is always here, quietly waiting. Even when our thoughts travel far away, every time you gently return your attention to what is happening right now, you strengthen a habit that is far more powerful than worry. Perhaps while listening to this podcast, you noticed your mind drifting somewhere else. That is completely normal. Everyone experiences it, The important thing is not to criticize yourself. Simply notice where your thoughts have gone. Smile gently and return to this moment. Every return is a small victory. Every gentle breath is a reminder that you are alive, safe. And here, little by little, these small moments of awareness become a calmer mind. And a calmer mind creates a happier life. So before we continue, take another slow breath. Relax your shoulders. Soften your thoughts. And remember something simple. You do not have to believe every thought your mind creates. Some thoughts deserve your attention, but many simply deserve to pass by like clouds, crossing a quiet blue sky. There is a simple story about an old gardener who lived in a quiet village. Every morning, before the sun appeared above the hills, he walked into his small garden with a wooden watering can in his hand. He moved slowly, never in a hurry, watering each flower one by one. A young neighbor watched him every day and finally asked, "Why do you spend so much time on such a tiny garden? It doesn't look very important." The old man smiled gently and continued watering the flowers before answering, "I am not only growing flowers, I am growing peace inside myself." At first, the young man did not understand those words. He believed success always came from moving faster, working longer, and thinking further ahead. His days were filled with plans, goals, endless lists, and constant worry about tomorrow. Even while eating breakfast, he was already thinking about lunch. During lunch, he worried about the evening. Before sleeping, he imagined the next morning. His body lived one day at a time, but his mind was always somewhere else. Weeks later, the young man began noticing something unusual. The old gardener always looked peaceful. He smiled easily, slept well, and never seemed rushed. One morning, the young man decided to help him. Together, they watered the flowers in complete silence. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable. His mind immediately began creating questions. Did I answer that email? What if tomorrow's meeting goes badly? Should I be doing something more productive? Thoughts appeared one after another, like birds flying across the sky. The old gardener noticed the restless expression on his face and quietly said, "Do you hear the birds?" The young man paused for a moment. He had walked through this garden hundreds of times, yet he had never truly heard them. Then the gardener asked, "Can you feel the morning breeze again?" The young man stopped and paid attention. The cool air gently touched his face. It was something so ordinary, yet somehow it felt completely new. A few moments later, he noticed the smell of fresh grass, the sound of leaves moving softly in the wind, and the warm sunlight slowly reaching the flowers. None of these things had suddenly appeared. They had always been there. The only difference was that, for the first time in a long while, his attention was finally in the present. This is what overthinking quietly steals from us. It does not only create stress, it steals our ability to notice life itself. Beautiful moments rarely arrive with loud announcements. They often appear quietly, hidden inside ordinary days. A warm cup of coffee on a peaceful morning, a conversation with someone you love, rain falling outside your window, the sound of children laughing in the distance. These simple moments become invisible when our minds are trapped inside endless worry. Many people spend years chasing happiness, as if it were waiting somewhere far away. They believe they will finally relax after achieving one more goal, earning one more promotion, or solving one more problem. But happiness has a strange habit. The faster we chase it, the further away it seems to move. Meanwhile, the present moment patiently waits, asking for nothing except our attention. Think about the last truly peaceful moment you experienced. Perhaps it happened while watching the sunset, walking through a quiet park, reading a favorite book, or simply sitting beside someone you care about. During those moments, your life probably was not perfect. Problems still existed. Responsibilities were still waiting. Yet for a short time, your mind stopped fighting reality. That is why peace appeared. Peace does not come from having a perfect life. Peace comes from giving your full attention to the life you already have. The old gardener finished watering the final flower and looked across the small garden. Nothing extraordinary had happened that morning. No great success. No dramatic change. No important news. Yet, everything felt complete. Before walking home, he smiled and said, one final sentence the young man would remember for the rest of his life. The present moment is the only garden where happiness can grow. Perhaps today, you do not need to solve every problem. Perhaps you only need to notice one deep breath, one smile, one quiet moment, and allow yourself to be fully here. Sometimes, that single choice is enough to begin changing everything. One of the simplest ways to stop overthinking is to stop trying to control everything. This sounds easy, but for many people, it is one of the hardest lessons to learn. We often believe that if we think long enough, we can prevent every mistake, predict every problem, and protect ourselves from disappointment. But life has never worked that way. No matter how carefully we plan, there will always be unexpected moments. There will always be changes we cannot control. The more we fight against uncertainty, the more exhausted we become. Imagine standing beside the ocean. You cannot stop the waves from coming. You cannot ask the wind to change direction. You cannot control the tides, but you can learn how to swim. Life is very similar. We waste enormous amounts of energy trying to control things outside ourselves, while forgetting to strengthen the one thing we truly can control. Our response? Many people wake up in the morning and immediately pick up their phones. Before their feet even touch the floor, their minds are already filled with messages, news, social media, and endless information. Without realizing it, they invite hundreds of other people's thoughts into their minds before creating even one peaceful thought of their own. By breakfast, their attention has already been pulled in 10 different directions. It becomes much easier to overthink when the mind never has a chance to rest. What if tomorrow morning looked a little different? Instead of reaching for your phone, you open the window, you take one slow breath, you notice the morning light, you listen to the quiet sounds around you. Perhaps you drink a warm cup of tea or coffee without rushing. These actions may seem incredibly small, almost too simple to matter, but simple habits repeated every day quietly shape the way we experience life. Our minds are like gardens. Whatever we water grows stronger. If we water fear, fear grows. If we water worry, worry grows. If we water gratitude, peace begins to grow. Every day, we choose which thoughts deserve our attention. Not every thought needs to become a conversation. Some thoughts only need to be noticed, then gently released. A helpful question to ask yourself whenever you notice overthinking is, can I do something about this right now? If the answer is yes, take one small action. Send the email, make the phone call, write the first sentence, fold the laundry. Begin with one simple step. Action often quiets the mind far more effectively than endless thinking. But if the answer is no, if there is nothing you can do today, then worrying will not change tomorrow. Sometimes the wisest choice is to let the thought rest until the right moment arrives. Think about how children experience the world. They become completely absorbed in simple things, watching butterflies, drawing pictures, building sandcastles, chasing leaves in the wind. They are not constantly asking what might happen next week. They are fully present with what is happening now. As adults, we often lose this ability. We become experts at planning, but beginners at simply noticing life. Yet that childlike attention still exists inside us. It only needs practice. This does not mean ignoring responsibilities or pretending problems do not exist. It means giving each moment the attention it deserves. Instead of carrying tomorrow into today, there is a quiet freedom that comes from accepting this simple truth. You do not have to carry every burden all at once. You only need to carry today's step. Tomorrow will bring its own path. And when tomorrow becomes today, you will meet it with the strength you have built in the present. So, as you continue listening, remember this gentle idea. Life becomes much lighter. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because we stop carrying things that were never ours to hold. Sometimes, the first step toward a peaceful mind is simply putting down the invisible backpack filled with worries and walking forward, one calm step at a time. There is an old saying, you cannot stop birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest there. Thoughts work in much the same way. Every day, thousands of thoughts pass through our minds. Some are useful, some are kind, some are completely unnecessary. We cannot stop every thought from appearing, but we can decide which thoughts deserve our attention. That choice, repeated every day, quietly shapes the quality of our lives. Imagine sitting beside a busy road. Cars continue passing in both directions. Some are small, some are large. Some move quickly, others slowly. If you tried to stop every vehicle, you would become exhausted. Instead, you simply sit on the bench and watch them pass. Thoughts can be treated in the same way. You do not have to climb into every thought that appears. You do not have to follow every worry to its destination. Sometimes, the healthiest response is simply to notice it and let it continue on its way. One reason overthinking becomes so powerful is because we mistake thoughts for facts. We tell ourselves, I am going to fail. People probably don't like me. Everything will go wrong, but these are not facts. They are predictions. And our minds are often poor fortune tellers. Think about the last year of your life. How many things did you worry about that never actually happened? Probably more than you can remember. Yet while those imagined problems existed only inside your mind, they still stole your sleep, your energy, and your peace. There is another quiet habit that helps reduce overthinking: slowing down your attention. Modern life encourages us to move faster every year. Faster messages, faster videos, faster conversations, faster decisions. Our minds rarely have time to rest. We begin expecting everything to happen immediately. But peace rarely grows in a hurry. It grows slowly. Just like a tree. A tree does not become strong in one afternoon. It grows a little every day, almost too slowly to notice. Then one day, it stands tall enough to offer shade for everyone around it. Your mind grows in the same way. Every time you choose patience over panic, every time you take one deep breath instead of reacting immediately, every time you return your attention to the present, you are strengthening something invisible. You may not notice the change today, or even tomorrow, but after weeks and months, you begin responding differently to life. Situations that once created anxiety no longer control you. Problems still appear, but they no longer feel impossible. Gratitude is another quiet teacher. When we overthink, our attention naturally searches for what is missing. We notice unfinished work, unanswered questions, future risks, and possible failures. Gratitude gently changes that direction. It asks, what is already good in this moment? Perhaps your health is improving. Perhaps someone smiled at you today. Perhaps you enjoyed a peaceful meal, finished an important task, or simply watched the sky change colors before sunset. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they remind us that life is never made only of problems. The present moment is not perfect, but it is often far kinder than the stories our minds create. While your thoughts worry about tomorrow, your heart continues beating, your lungs continue breathing, the sun continues rising, birds continue singing. Life quietly continues, inviting you back to what is real. Every gentle return to the present is an act of self-kindness. Every peaceful breath is a reminder that you do not have to carry the weight of an imaginary future. Perhaps today, you cannot completely stop overthinking. That is perfectly normal. This journey is not about becoming someone who never worries again. It is about becoming someone who notices worry, smiles gently, and chooses not to follow it forever. Peace does not arrive because our minds become silent. Peace arrives because we learn that silence already exists underneath the noise, patiently waiting for us to return. Sometimes, the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself every day. Without even noticing, we speak to ourselves thousands of times. We say things like, I'm not good enough. I'm too late. I always make mistakes. I should have done better. If another person spoke to us this way every day, we would probably walk away. Yet many of us allow this voice to remain inside our minds for years. Imagine meeting your closest friend after they made a mistake. Would you tell them they were a failure? Would you remind them of every bad decision they had ever made? Of course not. You would probably encourage them. You would remind them that everyone makes mistakes, that tomorrow is another chance, and that one difficult moment does not define an entire life. The strange thing is, we often give kindness to everyone except ourselves. Overthinking becomes much stronger when our inner voice is filled with criticism. Every small mistake grows into something much bigger. A simple misunderstanding becomes proof that we are not good enough. One disappointing day suddenly feels like a disappointing life. But life is never measured by one moment. Just as one rainy day does not mean the entire year will be full of storms. One mistake does not mean you are failing. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Almost everyone falls at the beginning. No child says, "I fell once, so I will never try again." They simply stand up, smile, and try once more, somewhere along the journey to adulthood. Many of us forget this natural courage. We begin expecting ourselves to be perfect before we even begin. We fear making mistakes so much that sometimes we stop moving altogether. Ironically, overthinking often creates the very failure we are trying to avoid, because action is replaced by endless hesitation. There is a beautiful lesson hidden inside every sunrise. Each morning, the world begins again. The sun never asks whether yesterday was successful. It simply rises. Birds never refuse to sing because yesterday was difficult. Flowers never stop blooming because last week's weather was imperfect. Nature quietly reminds us that life is built through renewal, not perfection. Every new day offers another opportunity to begin again. Regardless of what happened before, perhaps you have been carrying regret for a long time. Maybe there are words you wish you had said, opportunities you wish you had taken, or decisions you wish you could change. Those feelings are deeply human, but carrying them forever does not change the past. It only steals energy from the present. Forgiveness is not pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness is choosing not to let yesterday continue, controlling today. One small practice can make a remarkable difference. At the end of each day, instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" ask yourself, "What did I learn today?" This single question gently shifts your attention. Mistakes become lessons instead of permanent labels. Difficult experiences become teachers instead of enemies. Growth quietly replaces guilt as you continue your own journey. Remember this simple truth: progress is usually invisible while it is happening. Just as a tree grows one tiny ring at a time, your mind grows through small daily choices. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you replace self-criticism with kindness, every time you choose one calm breath over one anxious thought, you become a slightly different person than you were yesterday. You do not need to become fearless overnight. You do not need to stop overthinking forever before you deserve peace. You only need to take one gentle step today, then another tomorrow, and another the day after that. Over time, those quiet steps become a new way of living, one where your mind is no longer your greatest source of stress, but your greatest companion on the journey through life. As we come toward the end of today's journey, there is one final idea worth remembering. A peaceful life is not a life without problems. It is a life where problems no longer control every thought. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to feel calm. They believe peace will arrive after success, after more money, after finding the perfect relationship, or after everything finally goes according to plan. But if we always place peace somewhere in the future, we may spend our entire lives chasing something that can only be experienced right now. Imagine standing at the top of a quiet hill just before sunrise. The world is still sleeping. The air feels fresh, and the sky slowly changes from deep blue to soft gold. For a few minutes, nothing asks for your attention. There are no notifications, No deadlines, no expectations, only the sound of the wind, the light of a new day, and your own breathing. In moments like these, we remember something we often forget. Life has never been only about achieving more. It is also about noticing more. The happiest people are not always the ones with the easiest lives. Often, they are simply the people who have learned to appreciate ordinary moments. They laugh during simple conversations. They enjoy slow walks without checking the time. They notice the smell of fresh coffee, the warmth of sunlight through a window, the sound of rain on the roof, and the comfort of being with someone they love. These moments are easy to overlook because they seem ordinary, yet together they become the memories we treasure most. One day, many years from now, you probably will not remember every email you answered, every meeting you attended, or every worry that kept you awake at night, but you may remember watching the sunset with someone important, hearing a child laugh, sitting quietly beside a lake, or sharing a peaceful meal with your family. These are the moments that quietly build a meaningful life. They cannot be postponed until everything becomes perfect. Because they are happening now, so today, before you move on with the rest of your day, give yourself one small promise. When your mind begins running toward tomorrow, gently bring it back. When it starts replaying yesterday, kindly remind yourself that the past has already finished its story. Return to this breath, this step, this moment. You do not have to win every battle inside your mind. You only need to stop fighting every thought that appears. Remember, your thoughts are visitors, not permanent residents. They come, they stay for a while, and they leave. You are the sky, not the clouds. The clouds may change every hour, but the sky remains. In the same way, peace has always existed within you, waiting quietly beneath the noise of overthinking. Thank you for spending this peaceful time with me today. If this conversation helped you slow down, even for a few moments, then it has already achieved its purpose. I hope that wherever you are, you carry a little more calm, a little more patience, and a little more kindness toward yourself. Until next time, take care of your mind. Enjoy the present moment, and remember, a peaceful life is built one quiet breath, one small choice, and one gentle day at a time. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Imagine that your life is like a long journey along a peaceful road. Every morning, you take one more step forward. Some days, the sun is shining. Other days, dark clouds fill the sky. Sometimes the road is smooth, and sometimes it feels difficult. But no matter what kind of day it is, the road always continues. Life is not asking you to walk perfectly. It is only asking you to keep walking. Many people look back on their lives and realize something surprising. The moments they worried about the most were often not the moments that changed their lives. The job interview they feared turned out to be fine. The conversation they avoided became much easier than expected. The mistake they thought would ruin everything slowly faded into memory, yet the hours spent worrying can never be returned. Time is the one thing we can never earn back. That is why learning to protect your peace is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. From today, you do not need to promise that you will never overthink again. That would not be realistic. Your mind will still create worries from time to time, because that is simply what human minds do. The difference is that now, you can notice them with a little more kindness. Instead of following every anxious thought, you can pause. You can breathe. You can gently ask yourself, is this helping me right now? Sometimes, that single question is enough to break the cycle. Remember, your life is happening in the ordinary moments. It is happening while you drink your morning coffee, while you walk outside, while you smile at a stranger, while you listen to your favorite music, while you sit quietly at the end of a long day. These small moments may not seem important today, but together, they become the story of your life. Success is wonderful. Goals are meaningful. Dreams are worth chasing. But if you spend every day waiting to become happy in the future, you may forget to live the beautiful life that is already unfolding around you. The present moment is not a waiting room for the future. It is life itself. So, wherever you are right now, take one slow breath, feel the air filling your lungs, and gently leaving again. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the chair beneath you, the light in the room, the quiet rhythm of your own heartbeat. For just a few seconds, there is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to solve. This moment is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me here on English Horizon. If today's episode brought you even a little more peace, then I'm truly grateful we shared this journey together. If you enjoy listening to slow and easy English while learning valuable life lessons, I'd love for you to join us again in the next episode. Until then, be patient with yourself. Trust your own journey. And remember, happiness is rarely found by thinking about tomorrow. More often, it is quietly waiting right here, in the present moment. Take care, and I'll see you again very soon.